And that's the system that we're gonna develop together. A complete chop system that the person needs to get out the car and the person can remove the pieces from the vehicle. We're gonna develop all these inside this journey. You're gonna see me developing, and you can develop with me this system because I'm gonna teach you how to develop this kind of systems. As you can see, you can remove the pieces of the vehicle piece by piece. Okay, as you can see, we're gonna remove everything from the vehicle. Okay, look, we can remove the wheels. Okay, look, yeah, and we're gonna put on the shelf. Okay, you can see right now everything is going perfect. Okay, and this script is completely standalone. Okay, this script works in any server, can be KibiCore, ESX, VRP, it doesn't matter. Can be a self framework, your framework, personal framework. It's gonna work too, because here you learn how to program, how to really program. Okay, not just copy codes. And who programs in any framework in this world. Okay, like me. In this server right here, it's ESX, but I program in ESX, I program in KibiCore. I just need the documentation in my hands. I can program in any framework in this world. As you can see, the vehicle it's completely now empty, and there we go. So guys, let's go. Now we're gonna create the chop script. The first thing, it's create the folder of the script. I'm gonna create inside the developer folder. We've got to create the manifest, put the effects version as a cerulean, and the game as common. Perfect. Server script as server Lua, and client as client. Perfect. Now we gotta create the files server and client. Guys, one important thing. We are not gonna use framework functions for now, because you need to learn how to create the things from scratch. If you depend on framework functions to create your scripts, I'm not talking about give items to the player. To give items to the player, you're gonna need the framework functions. But like, if you need framework functions to create an object, if you don't know how to create an object since the completely zero, like request the model, wait until the model being loaded, create the object, and then have the ID of the object in your hands. If you don't know all this process, you are addicted to all these things that make your life easier, but protects you from the real thing, from the real programming, that is creating things not depending on frameworks, you see. So in this first part, we're not going to use any framework functions like from ESX. Actually, we're going to make a script 100% independent, as you should do when you create your own scripts, and then you try to sell them. Because if you make a code that depends on ESX to work, this code is not going to work on KibiCore or VRP or other frameworks. But if you know how to make a code that is independent, but you know how to make a bridge, you know how to make a middleware there is between the framework and your script, to communicate with the framework and communicate with your script as a translator, you can create a script for any framework in the world. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do right now. We're just gonna use the natives of the FiveM to create a chop. We're not gonna involve any framework functions. We're just gonna make the chop itself with the native, right? I'm not gonna explain all these steps step by step, because if I explain every step that I do on the code, we're gonna like need 10 hours to create the script. I'm gonna explain the steps, but not step by step specifically, because the space to explain step by step every step is low. It's on the course, it's on the Five Expert. Right now it's just to show you the results. So but we're gonna explain. Okay, so one important thing right here, we need to get a CDS to create the chop. So I have the Lua command that we can print get entity towards player pad ID. Okay, now we have the CDS right here. we can put as chop CDS right here, vec3. Oh, we don't need, yeah. Okay, perfect. Now we've got to do a loop to check our position between the position of the chop, check if it's great, and if it's great, we should put a draw mark on the floor. To make that, we should make a loop. To create a loop, we should use the function create thread. That doesn't create any thread. Remember that I explained the FiveExpert why. So we've got to use the create thread that doesn't create any thread right here. After that, we've got to create the loop, and the first thing that we've got to do right here, it's to use a variable to optimize. There's going to be the idle, okay? Some steps ahead, you're going to know for what is this idle. We've got to get the ID of our pad. We've got to get the coordinates of our pad, and we've got to compare it with the chop CDS, and we've got to check if the distance is less than like 10 to see the blip. And now we can show the blip, draw marker, and like draw marker, you can complete that for me, right? 28, as I remember, is like 28 the type that we're gonna use. Now it's the CDS that is gonna be chop CDS, perfect. Now the rotation, the direction actually, that it's gonna be 0 0 0, rotation 0 0 0. Now the color, yeah, I'm gonna put color red, and the alpha, and some falses right here that is like bob up and down. False, maybe this true, I think, if I put it correctly. And actually we should put the idle 0 right here. That's the optimization, not to make the code run every frame when the pad is far from the blip. Okay, now we're gonna insert the chop, and there we go. Actually, we don't have any errors right here, but we don't see the blip actually. Am I next to the blip? I don't know. Let me put to make sure. Actually, see Lua set entity coords player pad ID at Discord. Okay, we are exactly on the chords. Maybe the problem is something about the CDS that I have put. Let me check the sequence draw marker. So it's right here, right? I want this. Let me get just a second. So we're gonna use the marker 27 actually, not 28. Okay, so let's come back right here. We're gonna use the 27 model. Let me see if this is great. Just see them. Oh, we have a problem. That is the. Oh yeah, it's gonna be an error. Okay, we don't see the marker right here. The problem is that we have the type, we have the coordinates, and the direction. We have the rotation. Yeah. Now the scale, yeah. I forgot the scale. Should be something about like 5, 5, and 5. Now it's gonna work. All right. Yeah. I was correct about the arguments right here. But we should put on the floor, so it should be 28, like 5 right here. Maybe it's gonna be on the floor right now. Yeah, now it's perfect. So that's gonna be the marker. Now we've got to check the distance again, because we don't want to the letter U works between like 10 meters. So it's if distance like it's less than 3 and is control, just press it 0.38. Okay, now we're great. After that, we should we're creating so many blocks. Okay, that's a very important thing. I don't like to create indentation in my code, because the more indentation you have, the more complex the code is to understand. Okay, the worse the code is. So right now we should put a function that would be something about try start chop. Okay, try start chop, and this function right here, we can put it right here. Okay, and now we are inside a function, so we can use guard clauses on the function, the early return that I teach on my course. So the first thing that we've got to put it right here, it's the pad. Why the pad? Because there's no problem by getting the pad again. This function is actually light, it's fast, okay? And we've got to right now get the vehicle. That's the first part, right? To check if the chop is valid or not. And now we need to make some verifications, right? Some checks. So the first check is there any vehicle? I in my opinion, the pet shouldn't be in the vehicle, but we need to have a vehicle first. So actually not. We have this pad in any vehicle. Yes. If the pad is in any vehicle, we're gonna tell him. Actually, we need a notify function. Okay, perfect. So now we have a notify function right here that we're gonna use. As I said, I could use the event ESX notify or the export anyways to notify the player, but I don't want to use anything from the framework, okay? Because if I put an ESX notify, it's not gonna work on Kibicore, right? So, or VRP anyways, other frameworks, right? It's not gonna be standalone at all. So here we can put a notify with something about get out the vehicle to start the chop. Okay. When the player get out, we've got to get the vehicle, right? So the vehicle is the last get pet. No, get player's last vehicle. Yeah. I don't think so. Do I need to give any arguments to this function like Kuruma, car Kuruma? Let me get out. Get player's last vehicle, maybe. Okay, I don't need to give any arguments. Right now I have the vehicle. If not, does anything exist? So if the last vehicle of the player doesn't exist, basically he can start. The player can start the chop because there's no vehicle to be chopped. So couldn't find couldn't find any vehicle. Okay, now we have the vehicle. We should get the vehicle CDS to check if the vehicle is inside this area, right? This area right here. So we gotta get entity. Now we have the vehicle, right? We are using guard clauses right here, so the code is being blocked with the negative functions. We're going on the sad way, and that's actually better because we're not creating too many blocks on the code. Different from this example, for example, that we've got to create 1, 2, 3, and if we continued on this situation, we would be 4, 5, 6. That would be so bad code and hard to understand. Okay, so vehicle CDS get entity towards vehicle, perfect. And now we can get the distance between the vehicle, the chop CDS, and the vehicle CDS. If the distance is less than 4, maybe not less, we should be on the sad way, so it's greater than, we should return and say that vehicle too far. Okay, perfect. Now we can start the chop, right? So we can make another function that would be start chop, because that's the try start chop, and now it's officially starting. So start chop, and the first thing we should give to the function the vehicle of the chop too, very important. And actually we should have right here the variable of the vehicle chop. Okay, the vehicle chop. So if a chop starts, we should put on this variable y, because we need to delete the vehicle on the end of the chop, right? So start chop, we're gonna receive the vehicle, and we can say that vehicle chop is literally the vehicle. And here we can freeze the vehicle, right? Vehicle chop true. We should fix the vehicle too, because if it's break, it's gonna be strange. So set vehicle fixed vehicle. We can fix the vehicle freezed. We should open all the doors of the vehicle. So set vehicle. Actually, we should make a for I. Let me check when it starts the door. I think it's like 0, maybe 0 to 6. And we should do something about set vehicle door open. Yeah, vehicle. Actually, we should use the properly term. There should be vehicle chop. Yeah, and every name should, in this situation would work. So, but basically in this context right here, uh, we should give the information to the person that is reading the code that we're now gonna deal with the vehicle chop variable, because we need to use exactly this variable until the end of the chop, until the vehicle be deleted and then the variable be new again. Okay, so that's just a semantic thing, it's not a rule. Okay, so we're gonna set vehicle door open, vehicle door index open instantly. Oh, so door open instantly, I'm gonna put false. Let's test it. So let's switch off. Let me put it right here. Vehicle to 4. Let me create a Kuruma right here. Wait. Yeah. Get out of the vehicle to start the chop. Now all the doors opened. One door is closed. Oh, now it's... Oh, that's strange. Like, yeah, it's better to put like open instantly, because if I am in front of the vehicle, like, let me put something about for I 0 to 6 7, maybe do set vehicle door open get player last vehicle I. Yes, and this would be false, true, false, and maybe true. Oh, and I have another function. Now I understand. Yeah, we have a function to open and a function to shut. Yeah, perfect. So let's go again. If I get out the vehicle and I do this. Yeah, the problem is that we need to force. We need to force anyway. That's the problem. I think it's this argument, the force, even if the person is it's in front of the vehicle. Like, yeah. Now it's working 100%. Perfect, it's working. Let me just remove all these vehicles from the players, like vehicle in pairs, get game pool, see vehicle, too many pad vehicles. Set entity as mission entity, vehicle true, delete entity, vehicle end. Thanks. Let me remove the population too. Okay, removing the population. Thanks. Let me just delete you. Bye-bye. And there's no population. Perfect. Car Chrome again. Let me get out. Let me press. And that's it. Now we should create the shelf that we're gonna deliver all the objects, right? So should be perfect. Something about create shelf right here, right? And to create the shelf, we've got to have the function create shelf, and to create the shelf, we've got to have the function create object. Why? Because to create an object is not just call a native. We've got to request a model that is going to be given to the function, a CDS, and a heading. Here we're gonna have the model, the CDS, the heading. No. Actually, we're just requesting the model. Okay. While not has model load, we need to wait until the model loads. Wait, 0 can be 0, can be 100 anyways. And there we're gonna have the object. There's gonna be create object, and there's gonna be the model, CDS, the heading. Is network can be false because it's just a local script, but if you want to make everyone see the object, it's gonna be true. Okay, I'm gonna put true anyway. I don't care. So, and we're gonna return the object. Perfect. And now on the create shelf, we've gotta have informations about the shelf. So shelf, and we've gotta have information about the shelf related to coordinates, for example. So let me come here. Let me get Lua print get entity towards player pet ID and heading. Perfect. So now we have all these informations that we're gonna use. First of all, it's the CDS that is gonna be this one, the heading that is gonna be this one, and the model, right? The model of the shelf. About the shelf, I selected this model right here. Okay, it's gonna be this one. Let's see if it works well. So model. No, I like to use uppercase for constants. Okay, you have seen that. I like to use uppercase. Actually, we can put directly on the hash, right? Perfect. And there we go. Perfect. Now we can give all the arguments right here. That is gonna be uh create object. No, create object. No, I want my function. Thanks. Shelf model shelf PDF shelf h. Perfect. And now we're gonna have the shelf. I'm gonna return that shit. No, actually, we don't need to return. We just need to define because we've got to delete in the end. So we've got to put on the cache like the vehicle. So shelf. Yeah, it can be just shelf. Anyways, like the shelf uppercase, it's going to be the constant. The shelf lowercase, it's going to be the object itself. So shelf, it's going to be this thing. Perfect. So let's keep going. Let's just test if the shelf. Oh, yeah. After creating the shelf, we've got to freeze it, right? Present position, shelf true. Okay. And yeah, that's it for now. Oh, another important thing, add event handler on resource stop function. We have the name. If name equals get current resource name, always the call of the function first, equals to name, then delete set entity as mission entity shelf. Yes, just if this entity exists shelf, then just to delete it properly, delete entity shelf 2. Perfect. So now we've got to do ensure shop. Let's go. 62, we have an error. That is this symbol. Okay. Okay, there's no error anymore. Thank you. And my shelf, it's right here. Okay, let's put the shelf on the floor. We have two ways to do that. We can just adjust the Z position or use a native for that. I'm just gonna adjust right here. You see, I ensured the script and there's no shelf anymore because of the code that I have done. I didn't like the heading. Wait, let me do 66. Let me see. 67. The heading is strange of this object, right? Let me see. Shelf H. Yeah, I'm giving correct. And it's receiving right here and it's giving the heading right here. It's strange. So let's like just try 100 and check if it's working well. Let's come back right here. 100, it's worse, like 40. Let's just check. Holy shit. 160. Anyways, it's gonna be create object receives create object receives. No, okay. It's because create object doesn't receive the heading. If you want to set the heading, set entity heading. That's the reason. That's the reason actually. Heading. That's the reason. So coming back to 6.9 that was here, as I remember. Yeah, it's perfect right now. It's perfect. Let's go. Let's go. So now the next thing it's gonna be put 3D texts on all the assets to be removed of the vehicle, right? So let's go. One information that I've gotta give you to you all is that all these names that are right here are bone names, and we're gonna need them all to make to make a properly chopped script, because we need to get the bone by the bone name, the bone index by the bone name. We have a native for that, and with the bone index we can get the coordinate, for example, to put the 3D text. Okay, so that's the first thing that we gotta have. Another thing, it's a 3D function that I'm gonna show you. Okay, the 3D function is this one. Okay, this function is perfect to use as a 3D text. Okay, I'm gonna show you all. Okay, you just need to give the coordinate, and actually you can give a vector on the x and the text. Okay, perfect. So let's organize this on the table. Okay, this is gonna be better. So bones names, and that's gonna be an array inside the table. Okay, so let's go. Okay, perfect. And that's, we can put, after creating the shelf, after creating the shelf, we can try remove door, and the function try remove door, we can put actually here, maybe here, try remove door, and it's gonna be index. So we have a counter right here. Do I need that? Yes. Door removed 0. We're gonna come back here. Try remove door. So the index that we've gotta get is try remover door plus 1, because now that's the index that we're gonna remove right here. Actually, we could make just a 4 on this table too. Okay, just a 4, but it would be less complex by doing a function. We can make a function that calls itself, or you can just make a 4, what you prefer. Okay, in this case right here, I think it's more intuitive to make a function that calls itself by giving an argument, by getting this index and making +1. Okay, so we have this thing right here, and now we can index the bone name. So bone name, it's equals to bones names on the index doors removed. Okay, perfect. And now we have the name, so we can put, and now coming back right here, we can get the bone index actually, and get entity bone index by name. Perfect. Actually, we're gonna have the bone information right here. You can call bone index or bone any way you prefer. Okay, that's just the bone, like we're getting the entity of the bone, and actually can give the bone name. Remember something, guys, if the bone doesn't exist, there are some vehicles that doesn't have the shelf. For example, let me be more here. There are some vehicles that doesn't have the shelf, for example, right? The shelf, no, like there are some vehicles that just have 2 doors. There's no trunk chest, for example. So there are some vehicles that has just 2 tires, for example, like bikes. So we need to consider all these kind of informations, right? We can't consider that all the vehicles have 4 doors, for example. Okay, and 1 trunk chest. There are some vehicles that simply there isn't. So what we've got to do right here is check if the bone is different to -1, actually, because in this situation right here, this bone doesn't exist. And if the bone doesn't exist, we should recall the function try remove door. Why? Because it's gonna make this plus right here, and it's get to the next bone. As I said, we can make using for, or we can make by doing a function that recalls itself. But there's one situation right here that we need to consider. After this function being recalled, what is going to happen? What is going to happen is we're going to have index that is bigger than the table size. And that's what we need to consider right here. Actually, after all this after all this happen, we're going to recall the function right here to avoid this duplication of code. We can actually put right here. Okay, and another thing, we've got to check if doors removed is equals or greater are equals to bones names. Actually, it needs to be exactly greater because equals, it needs to consider the last index. So in this situation right here, we have the end chop, okay? End chop, end chop, chop. This function we don't have, but we're gonna create it. Actually, we're gonna create the end chop in some steps ahead, okay? So now, perfect. That's everything. It's great right here. Actually, we should return end chop. We should block the function right here. It's a guard clause. It's very important. So right now we should load the loop to show a 3D text on the exactly bone. So we should load bone load bone delivery maybe, and we can give the bone maybe. So, and the the vehicle we have is a variable, so we don't need to give the vehicle as an argument, but yeah. So function load bone vehicle, load bone delivery, and we're gonna get the bone itself. Perfect. Now we can get the bone CDS that is gonna be get world position of empty bone. Yeah, perfect. And we've gotta give the entity and the bone index. Perfect. And here, the entity and the bone name. Oh, we need to give the entity. The entity is vehicle chop. Okay. And here we need to give vehicle chop again, actually. And we need to give the bone. Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna have a coordinate, and we need to, while the door on the vehicle exists on the vehicle, maybe we can here we need to make a loop. Okay, we need to make a loop that is gonna load every frame. Okay, and this loop is gonna, we can make actually while true, and we can break on the code. We can make break inside too as well. Okay, to be better to write the code right here. So we're gonna use the 3D text right here. Okay, the 3D text. We're gonna put the bone CDS, and we can put something about press like purple E right, to remove this vehicle part. Okay, perfect. Yes, press C, and like, but we need to calculate. First, we need to have the pad, right? And after that, we need to have the CDS of the pad to calculate the distance between the pad and the door, right? The bone. So pad, and now we've got to calculate the distance between the CDS of the pad and the bone CDS. Yes, CDS and bone CDS. I think it's better the CDS first. And if the distance is less than like something about 1.5, then